Trump wasn't president, in my opinion, crypto wouldn't be over $20,000. But he was saying that he's taken a big stake in Bitcoin. So Bitcoin ran to about 120. I always in long Bitcoin and Ethereum. As it goes down in value, I lose money, but I've sold so much from my initial position. So silver is more speculative than gold. Gold has industrial production. So if I had to play one of those, I'd trade gold. I'm also always long gold and silver. Like I have a core position I haven't sold. I've been buying gold since 1800. But you continue to see the market. We're only 3% off all-time highs. We came in at 70, 40-ish on all-time highs. Right now, 69.25. So I think, the market's always going to go up, and we're just seeing different leadership. And the leadership we've seen this year is the oil names and some of the banking names, depending on which ones. And I think there will be a transition, and I think a lot of the software names will get bought up. I think those are going to go higher, but they might get more pain. Unity, I have a pretty big position in May upside calls. I've been adding to that position almost every day. Today actually I added some yesterday. I took some off today, but those are like May 50s. So those are pretty far out of the money. They're only about 45 cents. So in the short term, I think the market's always going to go higher. I think the stock market's always going to go higher. I think S&P is always going to higher. They always find new leadership. I think the software names can go lower, but I definitely think Bitcoin going to go lower. Like I'm not shorting it or anything, but like it's 73.5. I've been saying that since about 90,000.
So you're not all in gung ho on Bitcoin like Tom Lee or some of these big Bitcoin heads. Anthony Pompliano is talking about Bitcoin all the time. Um, so you're talking about options. Not everyone takes options. Some people just buy the stock, buy equity. When do you decide, hey, I want to find some options, some opportunities here instead of just taking the stock? Software stocks being beaten down. Is that an opportunity for options? You mentioned oil, maybe the rotation, the money is coming out of metals going into oil possibly. Um, where do you think is the best risk reward uh, using options?
So I think there's two different things. There's a trading account and there's an investment account. So my investment account, I don't really trade options. I buy a lot of structured notes, which is a bond, an option, and a stock all meshed into one. Then on my trading account, I'm all options. So, but like my trading account's like 130,000. I could make or lose, let's say 5 grand in a day, which is a percentage is 4% in a day. And my investments, I'm trying to make, 8 to 10% a year. So when I trade per se, I look at unusual option activity. So I watch institutional order flow in the option market. I'm looking for the biggest and best traders in the world placing and allocating capital on certain trades. Like yesterday, per se, we had a big buyer. Some trader somewhere in the world bought 5,000 GCI Johnson Controls, 220, 2026, 130 calls. The stock was trading about 123. They had earnings. Stock got up to 136. That option that I bought yesterday at like 210 traded up to 720. So, that went up 200%. I got out of it around $6. But when I'm trading only options and I'm trading unusual option activity. So I look for institutional order flow across 14 major exchanges. Last year we ran 8 portfolios. They're all up year to date. They're all different versions of order flow. But when I'm taking an investment, I really don't take stocks very often. Like every once in a while, like I was telling myself I wanted to buy the IGV yesterday and I didn't. And then, when an RSI gets so beat for no reason and good companies, I mean, Microsoft's the biggest holding. Microsoft's down, what, 25% from the highs, then I occasionally will. But trading, it's all options.
So what do you think about these software stocks being down? They're down because Claude, OpenAI, Anthropic, these 300, 500 billion dollar, the biggest private companies in the world, they keep raising money and they have billions of dollars of revenue. Finally, all the data centers are getting built out. Software is getting crushed. That's the narrative. Do you think AI is a bubble right now? Or do you think, hey, data centers are actually getting built? Maybe these software stocks might stay down for a year or more.
I think the software stocks is completely an over exaggeration. And I do watch a lot of CNBC. I watch about 2 hours a day. I watch Fast Money and Halftime Report every day. And the news basically will put out whatever gets the most amount of eyeballs. So whatever the story is, they'll focus on that. So 3 months ago, as AI companies were overvalued, and that was going to be the correction. Now the correction is AI is so good, it's going to replace software stocks. And they'll like, and then at some point it will be what's next? Like data centers, basically are too expensive. I mean, like I watch Oracle is one of the main stocks I look at. Oracle's down again today. So the news over feeds the selling pressure in certain names. Um, like if I was an investor per se, I would just buy, $100,000 worth of IGV here and just hold it. But I'm not really like that because I don't hold stocks, as investments in the long term. But I think the software stocks specifically are completely oversold on this news. I think Bitcoin, if I had to choose the software stocks being oversold or Bitcoin being oversold, I think I think Bitcoin is fine being oversold, but I think the software stocks are completely oversold and they'll bounce before Bitcoin.
All right, you heard it here first. So people might not have even tried options. They might have just bought their first stock on Robinhood. They might have a retirement portfolio and they're trying to do a little bit of trading with a portion of that. So can you just tell us, what does RSI even mean? What does this mean? When you just open up your broker, your charting software for the first time, you might only have one line on it, a moving average. So, what is the one, two things that are most important when you're deciding to pick a stock and buy an option?
So like I said, I trade on order flow. So I watch just the biggest traders in the world placing out in capital on certain trades. Like we've seen calls in Dow Comic Call, DOW. They bought calls again today in Dow. So someone's just buying calls in Dow for whatever reason. And that one has just been on fire. It's up another 7% today. When the futures were down 70, there it was still up. So that's how I trade it. Relative strength index is something that's between 30 and 70. I don't know the mathematical equation of how it's calculated, but it's between 30 and 70. 30's oversold, 70's overbought. And then 20's extremely oversold and 80's completely overbought. And then if you start getting to 85 and 15, that's like insanely oversold and insanely overbought. So like I said, I don't use it that much in my trading. If you're looking to invest, you know, if I was to invest in stocks, I would be looking at different matrices like debt on the balance sheet, growth. Do they have a moat? Where's the stock traded? But as a most part, my option thing trading is just on order flow. That's how I've been trading for 25 years.
So that's your expertise. You talk about that in your service, and there's rotation into chemicals. You talked about Dow, relative strength. Basically, to me, it sounds like money is going somewhere, and these places it's going are performing better than the market as a whole. So maybe for people who just found this channel for the first time and think, hey, this guy might know what he's talking about, where can they learn a little more about you and how can they keep in touch with this channel?
Yeah, Sam, you're going to do my call to action for me. So you're going to put a link below where they can find out more information. But yeah, we run a live trading room. I've been running a live trading room for 15 years. I go live on hour a day, 4 days a week, 9:30 to 10:30 Eastern, opening bell. I have four other moderators that run it when I'm not there, like right now, that I pay them to run it. And then we also have trade alert services. We send out all the trades via push notification, email, and Telegram. And most of my trades, options have evolved in the last 20 years. And most of my trades you can get in for less than $100 per one lot. So, if you go buy, a share of NVIDIA, it's going to cost you $182. If you buy a share of, let me think of like what's a big stock. Everything's been split now. I mean, a share of
Tesla.
Tesla is 400. You can get in most of my trades for less than $100. Um, and, options like per se Johnson Controls, a signal from yesterday went up 200%. That's not going to happen every single time, but that's just an example of one trade that worked out. And if this trader sold on the highs, they took $1 million bet and turned it into $3 million overnight on that trade.
All right. Well, that sounds pretty appealing. This is not financial advice. People know that when they're messing around looking for ideas. Thanks a lot, Andrew. If you're new to this channel, like this video, subscribe to get notified when new videos come out. And if you want to learn more about Andrew's service, click that link in the description, and we will see you in the next one.